You voted and the results are in. The top 10 must-add players for this final week in fantasy baseball is coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello sports fans and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I've got your top 10 hottest players to pick up for the final week in fantasy baseball. Now I want to thank all of you for supporting this channel this season and casting your weekly votes like the 266 total votes which helped me create this week's list. Before I reveal the list, if you're a fan of this content, please smash that like button. And if you're new here and appreciate quality fantasy sports insight, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that way you don't miss an episode. Do you have a burning fantasy baseball question? Ask me on Q. Go to askmeonq.com/beattheodds, submit your question, and for a small fee I will personalize a response and send it to your email. It's super easy to do and it's a great way to get fantasy baseball advice while also supporting this channel. Now let's kick off this list at number 10. We have Zach Liddell, 25% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 3 wins, 16 strikeouts, no ERA, and a .39 whip. Liddell is putting it together to finish off his season this year. He has had 3 straight outings without allowing an earned run against Boston and 2 playoff teams in Cleveland and Baltimore. Liddell will play spoiler in his last start on Wednesday against Detroit. He has a lead control, so Detroit was going to have to try to hit their way aboard, which might be difficult for a team in the bottom third in average this season. Let's go to number 9. We have Parker Meadows, 21% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 7 runs scored, 2 homers, 7 runs batted in, and a .292 average. Talking about the Tigers, Parker Meadows is going to try to boost the Tigers' anemic batting average, hitting atop of their lineup. He is known more for his defense and speed, but he's shown the ability to connect with his pitches. He's been the everyday center fielder, so you don't need to worry about him sitting as the Tigers make a push for the final playoff spot. Let's move on to number 8. We have Nick Martinez, 44% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 3 wins, 20 strikeouts, a .47 ERA, and a .42 whip. Martinez has flown under the radar all season long. Hitting on a team known for their offense and playing his home games in an extreme hitter's park has allowed Martinez to go somewhat unnoticed. Until now. Martinez has been successful in mixing his pitches as his changeup has fooled hitters all season long. He has been masterful at limiting hard contact and has only walked 3.3% of his opponents. Moving on to number 7, we have Hunter Goodman, 20% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 7 runs scored, 5 homers, 11 runs batted in, and a .250 average. Goodman presents an interesting pickup this week. He's not going to be guaranteed every start, but truthfully, with the season winding down, you can say that of many players. The important part is that he's going to carry 3 positions and his bat is on fire. There's a benefit to keeping him on your bench until one of your regulars takes a day off. Consider picking him up in hopes that he pops a couple over the fence for you this week. Let's go to number 6. We have Victor Robles, 35% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 7 runs scored, 2 runs batted in, 8 stolen bases, and a .538 average. Robles has been running wild as his 31 stolen bases this season represents a career high. He has been exactly what the Mariners needed when they plucked him from the Nationals' doghouse. Robles is a .404 on-base percentage with the Mariners and has struck out in less than 20% of his plate appearances with the team. Look for him to be a menace on the base pass in the final week of the season. Let's go to number 5. We have Luis Angel Acuna, 28% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 6 runs scored, 3 homers, 6 runs batted in, and a .385 average. This is more speculation than anything else as Francisco Lindor is on the cusp of returning to the lineup, but Acuna should be on rosters until further notice. The younger brother of Ronald, Luis Angel, is showing us that the power runs in the family and he's actually faster than his big brother. He doesn't have the same pedigree, of course, but Luis Angel should be an interesting sleeper to consider in next year's drafts. Let's move on to number 4. We have Francisco Alvarez, 55% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 7 runs scored, 5 homers, 13 runs batted in, and a .294 average. He hasn't shown much improvement in his second year in the bigs, but his prestigious power is starting to come around now. He has homered in 4 of his last 7 games, and he's going to be tasked to continue this hot streak when the Mets enter a crucial series against the Braves early this week. He's one of the best power bats that you can find off the waiver wire. Let's go to number 3. We have Spencer Horwitz, 38% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 5 runs scored, a homer, 5 runs batted in, and a .324 average. Horwitz has been a favorite target of mine to talk about as he has solidified a spot in the Jays lineup as they wind up their season. He has middling power, but a great eye at the plate and good bat-to-ball skills. He has been hitting in the cleanup spot behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which should present a few more run-producing opportunities in the final week. Moving on to number 2, we have Luke Weaver, 41% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 2 wins, 2 saves, 17 strikeouts, no ERA, and a .68 whip. Weaver has been out of his mind in the last few weeks. After failing as a starter last season, he has been extremely effective as a piece in the Yankees bullpen, but he has been unconscious in the closer's role. Weaver has collected 17 strikeouts in 7 1/3 innings over the last 2 weeks, and he's going to continue his dominance in the late innings for the Yankees this week as well. And finally, at number 1, we have Michael Busch, 52% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 7 runs scored, 4 homers, 12 runs batted in, and a .300 average. It's safe to say that Busch is here to stay. After an uninspiring debut last season, he has shown more flashes of offense in his first full season. He has made it to the 20 home run plateau, and he has shown good patience at the plate with a walk rate over 10%. He does need to clean up his swing and miss, but he should be a player to target in the later rounds of drafts next year. And that's going to do it here for this episode and the season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to like the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel, as we're going to be doing more fantasy baseball content next season, but we're going to be kicking off fantasy basketball content in the weeks to come. But that's going to do it here for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to sign off for now, and I will catch you guys on the next episode.